The country saw another record single-day spike of 1,100 plus cases yesterday, further compounding the COVID-19 crisis in the country. The federal capital witnessed 300 plus cases and continues to remain the COVID-19 hotbed in the country. Given the scenario, questions have been rightly raised over the government's strategy of seizing public movement and not taking up any other measures to combat coronavirus. Good morning, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. A record single-day spike of 1,111 COVID-19 cases reported yesterday. 17 more cases reported this morning, taking the national tally to 35,546. Death tally climbs to 184. Government's efforts in dealing with the looming health crisis falls short miserably in the face of poor preparation and whimsical decisions. At least 6 people killed by falling trees as Hurricane Laura battered the U.S. state of Louisiana. And a host of U.S. sports games postponed for a second straight day in protest of the shooting of black man Jacob Blake. The country recorded the highest single-day spike of 1,111 cases yesterday. 17 more cases were reported this morning, taking the national tally to 35,546. The Kathmandu Valley once again reported the highest 377 cases yesterday. 270 cases were registered in the Kathmandu district alone, while 66 were reported in Lalitpur and 41 in Bhaktapur. Likewise, 85 cases were confirmed in Parsa district, 75 in Banke, 72 in Rupandehi, and 63 in Makwanpur. 16 more cases were reported from Chiton, including 12 from Khairahari, 3 from Bharatpur Metropolis, and 1 from Ratnanagar this morning. Nawalparasi East also reported 1 case this morning. Meanwhile, 20,073 people have been discharged from various hospitals after full recovery as of the latest updates, with 569 individuals being discharged in the past 24 hours, with a recovery rate of 56%. According to the Health Ministry, there are 15,273 active cases in the country. 9,063 infected are in different isolation centers, while 6,210 individuals are in home isolation. Likewise, 17 COVID-19 patients are being treated in ventilators and 137 in ICUs, while 9,488 individuals are in various quarantine centers across the country. The death tally from COVID-19 in the country has climbed to 184 as 8 people succumbed to the virus yesterday and 1 more this morning. A 55-year-old man from Siraha succumbed to COVID-19 while receiving treatment at the BP Koirala Health Sciences Academy in Dharan. The man had been admitted to the hospital 5 days ago after reporting cough, breathing difficulties, and fever. He had tested positive for coronavirus on 23rd of August. The pandemic situation in Nepal was under control for quite some time, even as the number of COVID-19 cases were escalating in the 2 neighboring countries. The government should have utilized the time at its disposal in the country's fight against COVID-19. However, the government's efforts fell short miserably in the face of poor preparation and whimsical decisions. We have more in this report.
The number of coronavirus cases in the country has crossed over 35,500 as of Thursday afternoon. Out of total cases, 9,063 are in isolation centers, while 6,210 are in home isolation. It is now evident that the Health Ministry has seriously lagged behind in preparedness, contact tracing, and increasing the testing parameters in community level. Patients have been compelled to opt for home isolation as hospitals have been overwhelmed with infected individuals, while monitoring of the infected in home isolation has remained a far cry. Even as the ministry has claimed of widespread contact tracing, it has lagged behind in its efforts to test individuals who have come in contact with the infected one. The ministry, at the same time, does not have a specific plan for a densely populated federal capital and other major cities which are turning into a coronavirus hotbed in recent days. It may be recalled that when the government had imposed a 4-month lockdown on 24th of March to contain the spread of COVID-19, the country had merely 2 infected cases. The number of cases had climbed to 17,994 when the government lifted the lockdown on 22nd of July. The government, which had failed to formulate plans in dealing with the looming health crisis during the lockdown period, is unlikely to come up with any concrete plans at this time of prohibitory order as well. Sadly, speculations are rife that the COVID-19 situation in the country could blow out of proportions due to the government's lack of willpower in staving off the pandemic.
The government has recommended the name of new ambassadors to Belgium, Germany and Pakistan, which are going to be vacant by mid-September. The government, at the same time, has not given priority for the appointments in countries which do not have ambassadors for long and hold more diplomatic significance. We have more in this report.
The government had recommended 3 joint secretaries at the Foreign Ministry as Nepalese ambassadors to different countries on 1st of August. The government recommended Gehendra Raj Bhandari to Belgium, Tapas Adhikari for Pakistan and Ramkaji Khadka for Germany, as the tenure of incumbent envoys to these countries is ending in 2 months' time. Experts have taken the government's decision as positive. However, the embassies in several other countries are without envoys. This includes South Korea, which is without an envoy for the past 20 months, Sri Lanka 14 months, and South Africa over 2 years. The government called the then ambassador Arjun Jung Bahadur Singh from South Korea, which is a major destination of Nepali youths for employment, but has not appointed a new one. Given this scenario, Nepal could not approach the South Korean government to seek assistance in controlling the coronavirus spread among Nepalese community living there. Likewise, the government has assigned Nepalese ambassador to the USA Arjun Karki ad hoc responsibility despite completing his tenure some 18 months ago. As the government enjoys a clear majority, it does not face the compulsion to share positions with other political parties for the appointment of envoys. However, delay in appointing ambassadors in diplomatically important countries exhibits the country's poor priority. As the role of ambassadors at the moment is highly crucial to coordinate in rescuing Nepali migrant workers and address the problems, the vacant post of the envoys does not convey a good message.
High fever has claimed 7 lives in the past 2 weeks in Mahakali municipality of Kantipur district in the far west. According to Dodhara Primary Health Center, 7 people have died due to the high fever in the past 2 weeks. The deceased are in the age group between 14 and 75. According to the health center in Dodhara, the deceased had shown symptoms of high fever, shivering and unconsciousness, which are similar to meningitis and encephalitis. The blood samples of all the deceased have been collected and brought to the National Public Health Laboratory in Kathmandu for further tests. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the locals in Sankhwasava what might be the reason behind the positive impact of development works conducted by women. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
ईमानदारीता, लगनशीलता, मेहनती भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि तपाईको यसको चाहिँ महिलाहरूको चाहिँ सहभागी गर्ने विकास निर्माणदेखि सम्पूर्ण कामहरू चाहिँ परिणाममुखी हुन्छ।
भ्रष्टाचार के हो भन्ने कुरा जानेको हुँदैन, उले त्यो अनुभव गरेको हुँदैन, नगरेपछि महिलाहरूले आफूले विकासको निर्माण काममा गर्नु नै पर्छ भन्ने खालको एउटा भावना लिएर अगाडि बढेको हुन्छ।
महिलाहरूले गरेका जति पनि विकास निर्माणका कामहरू छन् त्यो उहाँहरूको इमानदारीताको कारण नै हो।
कामको गुणस्तर, परिमाण, परिणाम दुवै कुरालाई ध्यानमा राखेर समयमा त्यो योजना सम्पन्न गरेको हुन्छौं महिलाहरूले। त्यो भएकै कारणले पनि महिलाहरूले गरेका अधिकांश कामहरू अलिक प्रभावकारी भएको महसुस भएको छ।
And it's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And here's the question. Why has testing parameters not been increased in the community level despite the rising infection? Your options are A, lack of resources, B, lack of coordination, and C, no planning. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And that's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.